These may be kids' books, but we discuss dark themes and mature content. There may also be some explicit language. Listener discretion is advised.
The world of nightmares was a joke compared to my new reality.
Yeah.
That's some like edgy teen, like
yeah. His emo band fucking slaps. Like, I'm sure of it.
He just woke up and made that his Facebook status.
Yes. Oh, he made it his sub profile on AIM.
Yeah. I hear they're playing it when we were young.
Yeah, listening to Death Cab for Cutie.
He actually was also married to Zooey Deschanel.
So we're really getting to like the pearl. We're getting to the diamond on the setting of the ring here. Guys, we're here. We've arrived. It's chapter 7. And chapter 7 will soon mean something. Because I think we've growing up, you know, in this wonderful thing we call life and love and laughter and live, love, laugh. You know, we've all had a couple chapter 7s in our life. And, you know, I think this is our chapter 7 to bring to the world. Chapter 7 starts off, as Eddie suggested, with leaving the world of nightmares, rendering it a joke compared to what we just experienced. But, you know, Jake thinks it's all a dream. And then Jake's new best friend slash best friend. I'm sorry, you couldn't hear my eyes. Tobias shows up and says, "Hi, Mrs. Jake's mom. Can I go straight to Jake's room?"
And she's like,
"Sure,
I'm so glad people want to go to his room. No one's ever wanted to go to his room. Oh, I make him keep it tidy and no one ever goes."
It's a Saturday morning.
That's right.
Yeah, kids aren't even up. Like, usually they're just, like, hung over as shit.
But Tobias walks into the room, and he's glowing.
He's glowing.
It says he was glowing. I swear he was glowing. Not like he was radioactive or anything. I don't know why he felt the
not
need.
literally.
I don't mean that. It's just that his eyes were shining bright, and his face was one big grin, and he seemed to be tingling with energy, bouncing like he couldn't stand still.
He's really into describing Tobias, for sure.
Yeah. Well,
it astonishes me that I missed one every time I go back to the page.
But to miss something Tobias has done is to miss life itself.
That's right, because Tobias has done something we all aspire to do with our lives. He has reached the pinnacle.
And he demonstrates that by oversharing almost immediately, which is, I think, at that age, what you dream of your crush showing up and doing. Like, at that age, it's like, yes, say entirely too many things. I want to say entirely too many things to you.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Tobias drops a real bombshell.
Yeah.
I became dude.
Is that the name of this episode?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
The Anidorks become dude.
That's really good.
Dude is Tobias's cat. We learn more about Tobias here, and Jake doesn't have much tact about it. Tobias has the most screwed up family I know. Mm-hmm. Never knew who his father was, and his mom just decided to leave him a few years ago. Since then, he'd been shuttled back and forth between his uncle here and his aunt who lives on the other coast.
I know, it's sort of like we can't tell you where we live, but we do live on a coast.
Yeah.
I'll narrow it down for you.
Right, which is also, it's very convenient. I mean, Tobias needs to have a backstory like this because of what happens with Tobias'
He needs
character.
to be expendable, just like that.
No, but Tobias, he needs this backstory for him to feel sort of not silly too, as like the little nerd. Like, it makes sense that he's so introverted when they're like, oh yeah, and his aunt and uncle hate each other, and so they just, like, use him as a threat. They're like,
yeah,
don't call me your kid or I'll send the boy.
Yeah.
So, like, Tobias, that's why he's so immediately, like, imprinting on Jake as his friend, is because nobody cares about Tobias. He just wants someone to care about him.
Yeah.
Jake telling people to stop shoving his head in a toilet is the most care anybody has ever shown this poor kid.
Jokes aside about their relationship, it is interesting that Tobias is the most important relationship to Jake in this book. It's not his cousin. It's not his best friend. It's not the person he has a crush on, supposedly. It's
allegedly.
Tobias. It's just... That's story he's telling himself for the next 3 years. But
I think it needs to be Tobias in this book, because Tobias is the one who is the most committed to the Andalites' cause, because Tobias got a little something extra from the Andalite as they were running away. He gets a little vision from him, and and so Tobias is like, guys, you don't know half of what I know, and we gotta save these guys. It does remind me though of like the beacons in Mass Effect, where it's like the first, I don't know if you ever played it, but it's like you touch it and the information comes in all scrambled, but like you slowly like piece it together. But yeah, so Tobias became Dude. Dude is Tobias's cat. This is our first morph, guys. We're here.
This is it. We've hit the first
we did
morph.
It.
Yeah.
We need a sound effect.
Everybody take a sip. Yeah.
Tobias is so excited. He's trying to tell Jake about it, and Jake is just not the person you want to tell this to. He's like, I don't know, Tobias. Let's review the facts. Like, that's one wants. Who says that?
I'm pretty sure you dreamed this.
Yeah.
Tobias, have you ever heard of gaslighting? Like, no? Good.
I loved it. Tobias is not putting up with it at all, though. He nods thoughtfully, gives a little smile, and says, I understand, Jake. You still don't want it to be true. Like, he is ready for this.
This is very much like, it almost feels like they could be talking about their feelings for each other. Like, Jake, we shared a moment last night. No, we didn't. I get it, Jake. You're not ready.
Yeah, and then he decides to just transform into
he's like, I'll show you.
Which I'm not sure.
I'm going to show you. I am a cat.
Yeah.
I'm the same cat you loved last night.
For a few seconds, nothing happened. Tobias just stood there. I glanced at his face. His eyes.
Beautiful face.
His eyes were different. The pupils weren't completely round anymore. I swear there was a reflective greenish light in them. And his mouth was protruding a little, puffing out. He was shrinking, growing smaller, right before my eyes. The neck of his shirt was loose. That's a weird detail.
Yeah.
His pants started scrunching up at the ankle. He was shriveling. And at the same time, fur, yes, fur, began to grow on his hands and neck and face.
I think he shouts that. Yes, fur.
Yes, fur. It was gray and striped with black, just like Dude's. He says he wants to laugh, and his reason for not laughing is very similar to Batman's reason for not killing his villains, which is that he'll keep doing it. And I just think that's like a really... All right, Tobias was more cat than human now. The pointed ears rose atop his head. The whiskers stuck straight out from beneath his delicate pink nose. He had dropped to all fours, clothing now half draped over him like so many rags. His tail twitched. Yes, his tail.
Oh my god.
I remember feeling like so many rags was a really oddly like archaic choice of like words for it.
She was just really caught up in the flow at that point. But also I wondered if I would just drop dead from the lump that had filled my throat or from the jackhammer pounding in my heart. Complicated
feelings.
Here. It's that delicate pink
Oh man, it does things to you.
It's the yes fur. Yes sir,
it's
yes,
the yes
fur.
fur. Yeah. It's the other things that you will all come to know that Chris loves to do in the Kindle notes. Chris loves to note the point at which a character drops to all fours.
This was I have to give Eddie credit for this. This was Eddie. Eddie noticed that like to a hysterical extent, every single animal that gets morphed into, you hear about when the person goes to all fours, to the point where I'm going to spoil, they're turning into dolphins and they have an all fours moment. And how does that even fucking work? Like I thought you were exaggerating, Eddie. And then when we got to that dolphin, I was like, Eddie's 100% correct. Like this is, it is a trope.
It's like, she loves when gravity intervenes and it's like, you can't stand anymore.
I think there's one that's like, I fell onto my hands, but they weren't hands.
They were all fours. No, I'm just kidding. Oh man. We sure fucking did it. He's a cat. Bravo. We put a man on
the He's not just any cat. He's Dude.
He's Dude. And Jake says, I hope I'm asleep. I really do. He's just sticking. Yeah. He's not
You're not asleep.
You're not asleep.
And then
I'm a cat.
Jake has a really interesting response.
Tobias is like, oh, do you have any string? Hey, pull a string for me to chase.
It's like drugs for
Jake
cats.
knows there's a string in his drawer.
That's the kind of, like, neat messy that I know I am. It's like, he's like, it's from a birthday card from 2 years ago. I'm not great at keeping my room clean. But also, he knew exactly where it was.
Yeah, that string meant a lot to him. There's a whole nother book about what the string was doing that day when they got their powers.
The String Chronicles.
Someone else has the powers to become the string.
That's string. It's the only string I ever acquired.
They start playing with the string, then Jake starts yelling at Tobias for playing with it. Tobias, what are you doing? I shouted.
He's yelling at him for being a cat.
Yeah.
And Tobias is like, hey, it's like I'm actually a cat. I really love to do cat things. I'm me, but I'm also dude. And this is where we're really introduced to, like, the idea of the two brains in the one person, like, which will become a common theme of, like, having to fight the animal's brain.
So, yeah, Jake basically, he says, I think we're learning something here. It becomes a teachable moment.
Jake's always ready to be in charge. And he's like, I'm not a leader. And I'm like, you don't shut up, though.
Right. He's bossy AF.
And then Tobias morphs back and we learn something else, which is that they can't morph clothes.
Yeah.
As if there wasn't already a lot of tension.
Right,
in this
it's a
scene.
very like, oh my god, we got a hotel room, but there's only one bed. Like, I morphed back from a cat, but I have no clothes.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It's gonna become a standard rom-com trope.
That really is how the fanfic works, I'm sure. Yeah, holy shit. That's a little too real, Miranda.
I know the moment when Jake does realize his feelings for Tobias. It's when the fur disappeared, leaving bare patches of pink skin behind. A nose grew out of the flat cat face.
Oh my god.
The tail was sucked up like a snake going up a vacuum cleaner. That's the moment right there.
Such a relatable experience, too.
It's
show
so,
don't
like,
tell. Yeah.
Who hasn't seen a snake get vacuumed?
Who hasn't seen a snake get murdered?
Dude, apparently their lives were dark way before we ever joined them.
If he said, and here's something I never thought I'd see again. A snake getting sucked up a vacuum.
Oh my god. Oh my god. I swore never again.
Mom, it's happening again.
Mom, I asked you to sweep the
sweep the
cabin. Sweep the cabin before you vacuum. Okay. So then we have our first, we're going to have to practice morphing back into clothes. And Jake's like, we? And it's like, Jake, we're dating now. I hope you know that.
It's your turn, Jake.
He's like, maybe you just use those powers. Maybe I just watch.
Yeah, maybe it's more like an I watch thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is again where like Tobias is like, no, you're the leader, and Jake's like,
yeah,
and he's like, you're the leader.
Yes, which Tobias says to Jake, and Jake is noting Tobias's deep troubled eyes.
Deep.
And then Jake has the only thought he's had all episode.
I guess I'd better go get Homer.
And using the same narrative device or same like literary device twice in a row where they say a human name but mean an animal. Homer, that's my dog. I want Homer, that's my dog t-shirt.
Homer, that's my dog. I
became dude on the front and Homer, that's
Homer,
my dog
that's
on the
my
back.
dog.
Yeah. It isn't painful. Morphing, I mean.
Yeah, she loves this too. She loves like being kind of vague and then being like clarifying in the second sentence.
Yeah, which is like, it's so coded. It's so wild. Why would you do that way? Why would you describe that way?
That's how 12-year-olds do.
But it does sort of seem like it's like, what could he be talking about?
I feel like a 12-year-old could also say morphing isn't as painful as you think it'd be. Like
they're not direct communicators.
All right. Well, neither am I, and I would have said morphing isn't as painful.
Jake's really like, he feels weird about it. He's like, what, I just pet the dog and then I can be the dog?
So do I just pet this stupid dog and then you're happy? What's the deal?
Give it a try, Tobias says. Think about it. Want it.
Want something. Want something. Oh, sorry, that's
perhaps something in this room.
That's that's a Being Alive. That was a Sondheim reference.
Oh, is it? Want something?
Yeah.
Oh, when he's making the wish.
Close your eyes, blow out your candles, make a wish. Want something. want something.
Bobby. Sorry, Grateful
Someone
lives
to
on.
pet my dog.
Someone to pull some string. Someone to throw me a bone. To feed me some food. But here's the thing.
Being my dog.
Being my dog.
Think about it. You have to want it, he tells him.
I want it, Jake.
So he's like, all right, I thought about becoming Homer. He's petting him, picturing it. And the dog sort of goes into a trance, and Tobias is like, well, dude went into a trance too. Must be a
Nice.
thing. Like, they go into trances.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jake says he's just scared because he thinks his master is a Looney Tune, which I want to address. Because is that a phrase? Because I've heard you think someone is Looney Tunes. I've never heard you think someone is a Looney Tune.
Now, Homer has a weird deficiency where he thinks cartoons are real.
Which Looney Tune does he think he is?
He's also kind of pet owner that calls himself
A master,
Oh,
yeah.
God,
He's
yeah.
definitely
So-
like
Yeah.
a leader. Only leaders use the word master.
And then he thinks it's not working, and he says, "Bow wow, guess it didn't work for me,
Great joke.
Tobias."
Great joke. 8.
And then Tobias goes, "Jake, look at your hand."
My hand!
Covered
Fur!
with orange fur. What dog is orange? Like a golden retriever?
Yeah, I don't
doesn't
know.
matter.
Clifford.
For
Yeah.
some reason, I really
Clifford.
believed that the name Homer should be a basset hound to me in my head. Like, it just is
Yeah.
a very basset
Yeah.
hound name. And then he's freaking out, and Tobias is like, you're gonna stop mid-morph. You can't stop mid-morph. You gotta concentrate. He's like, I have fur on my hands.
Trust me, it gets better.
He's like, yeah, you want to hear about your ears? And then Jake makes a mistake, and Jake looks in a mirror. I would not do that personally.
Yeah, I'm not so bold anymore.
I love that Tobias is just coaching.
You're doing
him,
great,
too.
buddy.
You just have to keep
Yeah,
going.
and then their baby's first body horror really comes into play here with like
Ooh.
feeling like your body is totally numbed up on Novocaine, so you can't feel the bones shifting and breaking.
Right.
Yeah, it's really intense.
Yeah.
It's
It's like my bones
it's-
didn't exactly hurt, but like
yeah,
they
yeah,
should.
yeah. And then my hands hit the floor, and they weren't exactly hands anymore. And that's our all fours moment of the second morph. Yeah, and then he gets to feel the simple joy of being a dog.
Yeah, it sounds
It sounds
great.
okay until brother comes in. But there's a lot of weird stuff where like dogs can apparently tell everything about a dog from its scent, including what it ate for dinner.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, just a Judgy Jake thing, but he thinks it's a dog thing.
I really like the no table scraps, unlike me. He's like,
Yeah.
I eat table
Yeah.
scraps.
Yeah, I have my own video game console, so I can practice. Mom, I'm practicing my video games, he says aloud every day. Anyway, intruder. He smells something too scary for words and he starts barking. And Tobias puts forward that he must be smelling himself.
Yeah, it's so weird, right? That he wouldn't know it was him. So this is another one of those like weird intricacies of the fact that you become the exact animal that you acquire. So like he's looking in the yard and it's him. And like shouldn't he know that it's him? Like
Mhm.
but he's just
Yeah,
like, no,
yeah.
that's some other dog. And I wonder if it's because he's Jake that he can't tell. Like Homer, if Homer saw him, he'd be like, but that's me. But because Jake's a little soft in the head, you know.
Yeah. It makes me think to be someone who knew about the Andalites and to realize, like, if you saw, like, it's like a weird moment of experience of like deja vu. If you saw your dog come in the room and then another dog came through a second time, like the idea that someone else might be in your house, like past, like just thinking about like if Tom noticed that two of the same dog
Was
had
it the
walked
same
past.
dog? Do you guys from the
Yeah,
Matrix?
yeah.
Yeah, they mention that at the when he uses this morph again later and Tom is around and he's like, I gotta be sure not to get too close to Tom though, because like he
He would
might
recognize
know.
it. Yeah.
Which is interesting because I am curious what the controllers know of the person, because the controllers seem to be consistently bad at acting like the people they're taking over. Like almost every single controller taking over someone comes with a mood shift. Like earlier in this episode, Jake was talking about how like distance had come between him and Tom, his brother, out of nowhere, sort of. So does like Tom's controller know what Tom knows? Or does Tom's controller know what Tom knows because he's been hanging out at Tom's house?
Yeah, it's like, how did he have to figure it out as he went? It was like, was it like does he a couple weeks of really bad improv? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Can they dig in the memory?
It's like, Mom's really not yes-anding me here.
So apparently it's exact to the DNA. It's that exact creature.
I feel like the big thing that happens here is that Tom comes in the room, and then I think Jake can smell something off of him.
Jake
right?
is like, there's like a weird smell, and he can't place it. But I think he says he knows it gives him a bad feeling.
Oh, and then he hears the echo of a laugh. Yeah, he actually gets quite a lot of information here about. But he's really
then Tom calls him a bad dog, and like that's it.
Yeah, that destroys him. Which honestly, I get it.
Yeah. I think Tom's just setting up Tobias here, though, because then Tobias can step in and make Jake feel better.
Good dog.
By scratching him behind his ears.
Which is the cutest.
I definitely had the thought while reading this, I was a little bit like, man, maybe this is what puppy play is all about.
I honestly, I think, I know, she is getting the information we need to us.
I do think Animorphs like define the generation in terms of like defining these relationships. Like the whole opened up all kinds of doors with the fact that you could turn into
between this and like all the anthropomorphic movies, like even just going back as far as like Disney's Robin Hood, like they didn't have to make that fox so cute.
Right. Yeah.
So they break. Tobias scratches Jake behind the ears, and then we get them all together again for the first time.
Yeah, they're like, all right, we're done being dog and cat. We're going to meet up later. And he's like, I call all the others, and we're going to meet at Cassie's farm. But then Tom's like, hey, I was trying to get you to shut your dog up earlier. Is everything okay? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, I don't know why, but I don't want Tom to know what I'm talking about on the phone. Like, just something in him is like, nah.
Yeah, once you can't unsmell what he smelled on Tom.
Yeah, and which is like heartbreaking for him because he's like, we were always super close. He doesn't beat me up like a lot of older brothers beat up their little brothers. And then he mentions that he's part of this new club called The Sharing. And that seems to have like taken over a lot of his life.
Yeah, all the kids are doing it.
And now is when Jake is facing what was his first big obstacle of the book that he was thinking about, which was telling his brother, who was like a basketball legend, that he didn't make the junior high basketball team. And he's like super nervous. But he's like, I gotta do it. He's like, Tom, I didn't make the team.
And Tom says, what team?
What team? The basketball team. Your old team.
Yeah, and this is a good first indication of like the controllers like really messing up.
Right, he's really screwing up. And it's starting to, because all through the book, especially on like my second reading of it, I was trying to see if it was indicated where exactly the takeover of Tom happened.
Yes.
And there's definitely, like, he says that he feels like they've been drifting apart kind of for like a year, but the sharing seems to be a newer thing. And then in this conversation where he tells him that he didn't make the team is where Tom reveals that Tom quit the basketball team just a couple of days ago. And I'm wondering, like me, Miranda, not me, Jake, you know, as though I was narrating the book. I'm wondering, like, could it be that he was just going to sharing meetings up until a couple days ago when they actually put it in it and that's when it actually happened? Or could it have been going on for a longer time? And it's like really hard to tell.
Maybe there's like a switching out of
that
we don't really know how the process works. Like maybe they like wait until there's like a match or something, or like it's like a practice run.
Well, they definitely seem to imply that if they don't think you're doing a good job, they'll put a different Yeerk in your host. So, like, I wonder if maybe they were just like, you're not doing a good enough job getting this, like, the rest of your family to come become controllers. Like, we're going to put a different
basketball
Yeerk in you.
too much.
We unfortunately picked a Yeerk who's, like, really good at basketball, and he's like, I don't want to be a Yeerk anymore. I just want to play basketball. That's the spin-off we need. Like, Airbud, but for a Yeerk. Yeerk Bud.
Even funnier if he's always wanted a brother.
Sick, I got a younger brother.
We picked our best noogie-giving Yeerk to put.
Bring it here, Jake, and noogie. But one thing I will say is, like, when Controlled Tom is explaining the sharing, like, he explains the secret part of the meeting and how, like, everything changes. once you become a part of the inner sanctum of the sharing. And like he really leans on like everything changes when that happens. So my personal read on this, having heard both of you, is that he just went to Sharings and like got his Yerk. I'm on Miranda's account where he got his Yerk a few days ago. He got Yerk a few days ago.
I think they've been working on him for a while, but like, because I think the unfortunate fact of like you're growing apart, like you just started junior high and your brother's in high school. It doesn't say how much older he is, but it says he's in high school. So if we're assuming junior high starts at 7th grade, right. He's like a 10th grader. It's like he's gonna get his driver's license. It's like, you know, it happens. It happens.
Yeah. But anyway, so now Tom wants to hang. Is that true? Is Tom
He wants to hang, but he wants to hang at the sharing.
Yeah.
He's like, you should come to the sharing. And he's like, I don't know, maybe, I said I was going to meet my friends. I'm going to get but then he has to mow the lawn. I loved this note. He's like, mowing the lawn is my big chore. Like, I really loved that. I thought that was so cute. Yeah. And I'm sure, like, as a kid, you read it and it reads like a totally normal thing. But, like, reading it back as an adult is just, like, such a cute moment.
For sure.
The choice, though, to have him add that and taking out trash, which I hate because we have to do all this recycling stuff. Like, it's like, why act like that's difficult to explain or like...
But so yeah, he finishes mowing the lawn and edging it, you know, another little winky moment. But he hops on his bike and he's heading over to Cassie's farm. He says they don't run it like a normal farm anymore, but they still have like some farm animals. But they have the wildlife rehabilitation clinic, which I think is super cool.
They also take a chance to tease future books. They take in any kind of injured animal except pet-type animals. There are always lots of birds, along with squirrels and deer and skunks and so on. Sometimes they get a bobcat or a fox or even a wolf. It's like book 3, 4. We got so many covers here.
Yeah,
she was like, I need to really show...
They don't mention starfish.
She's like, I need to show the possibilities.
Yeah.
This is a series.
She's in the elevator, like needing to do the pitch, and just
the literal elevator pitch.
Yeah.
The pitch right in the elevator.
Yeah. It is actually page 69 in the digital edition. Weirdly.
Oh, nice.
And location 420.
No, it's in the print.
It is nice.
Yeah.
This is where we find out both Cassie's moms. I wish. Both Cassie's parents are vets. It's a little Freudian slip.
My two moms. A Cassie story.
Both Cassie's parents are vets, and it says that her mom works at this big amusement park, which also has a zoo, a wildlife park. He's like, we have normal pets, but Cassie's got everything from porcupines to polar bears. But so he gets there and Marco and Tobias and Rachel are already there. He takes a moment to point out that he feels like Rachel is trying to tan, which I think is like he's like,
oh my God,
she's trying to catch some rays. Like, who does that? Jake.
Where?
Of course.
It's like, I'm almost starting to think the reason he was mad she's pretty isn't because she's his cousin and more because he knows she works on it. You know what I mean?
Because she's prettier than him.
Yeah. So he's like, oh, hey. And they're like, check out this newspaper. And he's like, who reads the newspaper anymore? And they're like, it's 1996. Everybody reads the newspaper.
Yeah.
That's a really stupid thing to say, Jake.
I didn't notice that they plant because the police show up in a few pages and it says police claimed that there had been a disturbance in the construction site, which is good. I'm glad this is here because when they were talking about the Yerks blowing up the Andalite ship, I was like, no one is hearing this. How far were they from the mall?
But still, most of what everybody says they like observed were lights, not even like. So I don't know. Maybe we were learning that Dracon beams are quiet. I don't know. Maybe
Although later in the book, they sizzle the air behind, so they have some sound profile. Anyway, okay.
Yeah, so it's like, there's this article about how people said they saw flying saucers at over the construction site, and the police are like, no, it was just some kids setting off fireworks. Also, we're looking for those kids, if you know where those kids are. Like,
we're gonna get to the bottom of this.
And he's like, but they're lying in the newspaper. How could that be?
Yeah.
And Marco's very like Marco about it. Like he goes ding ding ding.
Johnny, tell her that you test him what he's won.
And Marco's just like, oh, this is great. This is a great one because he's like, why would they lie? And Marco says, let's see, Captain Brilliant. Would it be because the cops are controllers?
Whoa.
So Marco, even though he's like refusing to get involved in any of it, totally buys 100% of what's happening. He just already thinks it's a lost cause.
It's exactly right. Like,
it's a very millennial attitude, to be honest. It's just like, I'm sorry, I have how much student loan debt? Like, this isn't gonna happen.
Marco is like the one who's always joking in the group, but I feel like there are very strong hints that he's the smartest one in the
or definitely
the group
at least
too.
Like the most reasonable. Like he's the most grounded in reality.
He's the only one who's looking out for their livelihood. I mean, these guys are like signing themselves up to morph and go chase down the aliens, and he's like, do you understand we could die? Like, do you understand, like, we're dealing with things that, like, no kid, like, he's the only one who understands the stakes.
And that's what this whole conversation is about, like, that is happening right now, is, like, that's all that he's saying. He's like, I think it's all awful. I wish they were all gone, but, like, I have a responsibility in life. And this is where we learn that Marco's got some responsibilities. I mean,
his mom passed away. I guess it was, like, I feel like later you learn it's an accident, but she drowned somehow.
It's a mysterious
never even found
drowning.
Her body. Yeah, very mysterious. And then his dad was so destroyed by it, he went from being an industrial engineer to only being able to be a janitor. And he like can barely support Marco financially and probably emotionally either.
It's definitely like, I don't know if they like flat out say this, but it's like the mom on Hey Arnold, who obviously has a drinking problem, but they never say it. Yeah. Like, I feel like it's strongly.
It's kind of interesting because usually when you see things that are sort of like, and I don't want to go as far as to say that he's like definitely like a parentified child because he's not actually caring for anyone as a parent, but like he feels like he's caring for his dad in a way because he's like, even if he's not actually supporting him, he knows that like if he was gone, that's it. His dad would totally give up. And like that's so much to put on a kid. And like, and I also just think it's really cool that we see these characters coming from such diverse backgrounds. And like it's not all stereotypes and like who you would necessarily think would have a quote unquote like bad background or like whatever. They bother to be racially diverse without playing into like that kind of stereotype. It's not talked about a whole lot, but like Cassie's definitely black. They say that, and like Marco is described as being darker skinned, whereas Jake and Rachel are pretty fair, and Tobias isn't given a huge deal of description, but like
it's feathers.
They say he has blonde, scraggly hair.
It's feathers.
Though I will say, I always remember Tobias having darker hair because the model who's on the covers is always. So it's interesting reading it and seeing that he's described as having.
Yeah, well, sometimes you just meet a kid and there's such a Tobias that you don't care what the description says. You're like, that's my Tobias.
Yeah,
we found our Tobias.
I feel like Rachel, I don't know if it comes through here, but Rachel and Jake definitely seem like they're the most well off.
It seems like Cassie's parents probably have a lot of money, but like
It's just that you don't associate that necessarily.
Yeah, and she's expected to do
they're like the most
a
rural.
lot of chores around the farm and like all those things. She's not like living the cushy life.
Yeah, I think Jake's mom's a writer. It says later in this book. Tobias we already talked about. Marco is always described as having an apartment. I think he's the only one. Lives in an apartment.
But we learned that all about Marco, and he's like, look, if you think I'm like being a coward, you can think I'm a coward, whatever. Like, I have to look out for my family. And everybody's like, they feel kind of, bad about it, but they know if they do something, Marco's just going to be like offhandedly a dick about it in that Marco way where like he's like, he appreciates their gesture, but he's just going to be like, well, what are you doing? I'm fine. Like, so it's like, then we see Cassie's first morph. Well, we don't know if it's the first time she morphed, but it's the first time we see her morph. We see a beautiful horse coming over the horizon.
And she trotting closer and closer. And then
suddenly I had a strange feeling about the horse. All right, Jake.
This is what it takes for Jake to pay attention to someone.
Be a horse.
He has to see them.
I want to talk about this morph a little bit. Cassie morphs back from the horse, and we learn that she's really good at it, and she can morph quickly, and she can wear tight-fitting clothing. But she does something. They describe her as, like, being upper body human and lower body horse. And he says, he's like, oh, she's like she reminded me of the Andalite. I realized it was deliberate and all these things. But there's a big problem with that. And that is that you shouldn't be able to morph limbs you don't have and that animal doesn't have, right? Like, the horse's front legs should be her arms.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So, like, how is she, like, centaur? Maybe she doesn't have arms. I don't know. That, like, bugged me.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Very
Good
weird.
Catch.
Yeah.
Good catch.
I think that I feel like she just kind of fudged the rules there a bit for the cool moment.
Yeah, well, Cassie's really good at morphing, so she probably can fudge the rules.
I also feel like maybe that's telling, I didn't catch that she's purposely like resembling an Andalite.
That's at least
like
what Jake feels like.
Yeah, but I wonder if that's signaling something about her.
Ooh.
Not that she is an Andalite,
like she's some sort of special.
That's a really good. Yeah.
Her and Tobias seem like they're the two that have the.
And hers, at least here, seems mostly to be implied that it's just like her closeness with animals and how much she loves animals and her openness to the idea is like what lets her be good at it. And then also like she has some later stuff that's like, you know, all other cultures all like revered animal spirits, and so like maybe she's sort of like mystical or something. I don't know.
Yeah. And then the cops show up, right?
Yeah, mid-morph, mid-Cassie morphing back from a horse, the cops show up. And they're like, Cassie, morph back. And she's like, which way? And they're like, human! But I mean, I would have been like, whichever way's faster. Yeah, like, which one can you get to faster?
And in fact, a naked horse versus a naked human. Way less.
Well, no,
suspicious.
she's got her little like lycra workout gear on, which is also kind of strange that like her friends are all like fully dressed.
Yeah, nobody like 4 fully dressed kids, and then Cassie just hanging out in a leotard. I don't know.
There is I actually think this is why she goes human. Although I don't think Jake should be the one to make this call. But he does say I knew what was happening. She was fighting the horse's urge to panic, so she goes human. Because the horse the fear might take over, I guess.
Oh, yeah, she could, like, kick somebody.
Or
That's
act
a good
strange
idea.
or something, yeah.
It's like, why is that really skittish horse just, like, freaking out behind you guys? And why do you not seem concerned?
Horses hate pigs, you know?
She's fine. Ooh, nice.
I
don't know.
So the cops are, like, they're looking into exactly what that article said they were looking into. They're like, hey, you kids doing anything weird? You're like all like they were like crouched together, like huddled together. It's like, you hiding something? And they're like, what? No. And then they all like split apart, and it's just Cassie standing in a leotard.
They're like, surprise!
And they're like, oh, okay.
It's exactly how you write a cop, and to signal cop is morning. He said, you kids hiding something, which is like a line in every like children's show, like sitcom, like that's what the cop says.
Yeah, one of his other lines is, we're making some inquiries. And that's also very, very cop.
Oh my God.
And then they're like, oh, by the way, like, you know, like, we're not trying to, like, we're not mad at the kids that we're putting out fireworks, you know, like, we just want to make sure they know it was dangerous. You know, they could have been hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like, I say, as though I've become one of the Animorphs. And they're like, oh, that's when we knew he was a controller.
Yeah.
And behind those eyes was an icky, evil slug.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't know anything about it. This is also one of my favorites. I love when books do this. Is I don't know anything about it. I lied. I love I lied, or she lied, or he lied, as like dialogue attribution. It's like my favorite thing.
Yeah. It's just so interesting that this is like, I'm sure this isn't a lot of YA and like kids books, but there's just like, it's not just distrust of authority, but distrust of adults in general. It's such a big part of these books.
Yeah.
It's like the adults are the biggest threats they're like the biggest prize for the Yeerks if they can take over them. So they're just like so distrustful of all adults, but especially those in authoritative.
Yeah, I think part of that in terms of like being in YA books and stuff is mostly just like, why would it be a kid's job to do this unless the adults weren't trustworthy? But, like, also adults aren't trustworthy, and you shouldn't trust us. We're gross.
I just I forgot that the three of us are adults.
you were like, excuse me.
I'm like, we're the bad guys.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, this whole conversation is like, the cop recognizes Jake as Tom's brother and starts pitching the sharing as well, which just
he's also
really,
like, you should come to the share.
Get a brain slug today.
If this is working at all, the sharing as a plan for the Yeerks, clearly Elfangor did pick the right group of teenagers.
Yeah, because they definitely know that, like, the vibe's off. like the vibe does not seem right at this place.
These kids can detect vibe. They
were ahead of their time.
They really were. Vibe didn't even exist back then.
So they managed to get the cops to leave, and then they're having a big discussion. They're like, what are we going to do about our ability to morph, and what are we going to do about the Yeerks? And Marco is still pushing his, like, absolutely not, no more, we're done. Mm-hmm. And Tobias... Well, even actually, Tobias and Rachel are, like, firmly on the, like, we gotta do something side. And Cassie's sort of like, we gotta do something, but also, like, respectful of Marco's fear. She says, you know, we could help endangered species. And Tobias says, humans are the next endangered species. Because he's like, no, we gotta do something. And Jake's just like, I don't know. You know, you're right that we gotta do something. Rachel's right, there's it's a lot to ask of a bunch of kids, but, like, the whole world's in danger, and, like, what are we supposed to do? And they're like, well, let's take a vote. Tobias is like, I vote to fight. Marco's like, nope. And then he also is, like, really mean to Tobias, because Tobias is like, I vote to fight, and Marco's like, you get beat up all the time.
Yeah. That's Marco at his worst. Fighting is when he joins in the bullying of Tobias. He and Tobias, they have, maybe because he knows that Tobias is a threat, because Jake's so interested in him.
I used to have Jake all to myself.
But then Rachel, in a move that's, like, really surprising Jake, is really siding with Tobias, and, like, it's the beginnings of a little thread that we're gonna see going through, that, like, Rachel and Tobias
more reason
are, like,
for Jake to hate Rachel.
Don't get between me and my
Toby.
boy.
But yeah, no, that thread is very real. That Rachel Tobias thread is very, very consistent and well placed throughout even this book. It's like ever present. Yeah.
Yeah. And so Cassie's like ever the peacemaker, as we learned way early on. She's like, let's think about it.
No. Yeah.
It's a big decision. It's not like picking your outfit. It's you know, we gotta do this. And Jake's like, thank you, Cassie. That is a great idea. Thank you for giving it to me.
Jake's acting like a normal 12-year-old says, thank goodness for Cassie. A very 12-year-old thing to
say. He's like, for now, we go back to normal, and, you know, we can keep thinking on it. And so they're like, yeah, we'll go back to normal. Marco and Jake are going to go play video games. Mm-hmm. And they go, and they're playing some video games.
They play Dead Zone for a while.
Dead Zone. But,
Dead Zone
you know,
5.
they just can't get into it.
Yeah.
They just can't get into it. It doesn't have the same...
It's not as good as 4. They changed the whole, like, character advancement track thing. It's different now.
Yeah, have you ever heard of a sphere grid? No.
Oh, God. Dead Zone 12. Don't get me started. Or was that Dead Zone 10?
That was Dead Zone 10.
Sorry.
Tom shows up being very casual, just like the police officer, asking about the construction site, which makes Marco jerk in surprise.
Jerk in surprise? I'm sorry, what
jerk in surprise?
He starts asking suspicious questions, which tips them off that something's off about Tom.
Mm-hmm. Tom,
and Jake really doesn't want to, like, see anything weirder. He's like, yeah, no, Tom always asks me about things he reads in the newspaper.
This is a game we play.
It's a brotherly ritual.
Yeah. Another very teenager moment. A bunch of morons who live around there decided it was flying saucers or something.
Those idiots.
Oh yeah, he leans into it so hard. He's like, you wouldn't believe that stuff, would you? It's crazy.
Yeah.
No, look me in the eye and tell me you don't believe it.
I I don't know. I just don't feel like all the evidence is in yet. I know the government's hiding something, Tom.
Only complete dips believe that kind of stuff.
Complete dips. I did love the line of complete
Yeah.
dips. Like, that's a real... that we need to bring that back.
Yeah.
What a dip. Like,
Yeah. All right.
So they're like, no, absolutely not. We have never believed in spaceships.
Little green men.
We're telling you so much truth right now.
And then, in an uncharacteristic turn for Marco being the smart one, he pivots to, I don't even believe in the Apollo moon landings, and starts explaining flat Earth theory.
He's like, have you ever heard of the grassy knoll?
Yeah, he explains how they did it all with CGI that's so in development, so secret that they're going to be like rolling it out over the next 20 years.
Have you ever heard of a small animation studio called Pixar?
Marco is as an adult when they've got this all figured out, even having been to space, a flat earther. I'm sure of it.
So Tom tells them they should join the sharing. Marco too.
Yeah, we get it, Tom. It sounds really cool.
And then Tom leaves, and Marco looks at Jake, and he says, "Jake, he's one of them." What? Tom is one of them. Your brother is a controller.
Dun, dun, dun.
He shouts it.
And he's like, Marco, there's no door on this room.
Oh my god.
He walked into the kitchen. We can see him over the breakfast counter.
He thinks he's using the brackets to him.
Oh my god. Oh,
Marco just starts talking like this with his hands up.
That's exactly what I thought. Like, he makes the brackets with his hands around his head. And he thinks that's talking telepathically. Oh my god, that's so good. I want to start doing that to people when I'm trying to have a private conversation. Like, can we please talk about this at home? Why?
Or they both just turn into animals so that they can communicate.
So they have a private conversation.
Dog, now.
Dog, now, closet.
Thanks for listening to Anidorks. We'll be back soon with lots more to say. Until the Andalites return, or at least until next time. See you soon!